Hi there, come on in. While you are warm at home, we're going to help you relive Tip-Up Town at Houghton Lake last weekend. We were there with our cameras documenting Old Man Winter's revenge. Temperatures on Saturday that started below zero, wind chills down to 30 and 40 below. As you might guess, Tip-Up Town on the ice wasn't as crowded as last year when conditions were ideal, but Houghton Lake does have plenty of ice now. There's plenty of snow. The second weekend of Tip-Up Town should be a lot more comfortable. What about fishing? Well, we saw a few being caught. You stay tuned. We're going to have a Tip-Up Town fishing report. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night. Time for Michigan Outdoors.
What do you say, guys? Is it moving?
Yeah.
We're moving.
How do you keep the ice out of the holes?
Oh, we tough today. Okay, a little bit. There we go. Yeah, the line's down. Take him. You ready? Got him. Here he comes. Watch out. Out of the center.
There he goes. Look at him.
All the way,
Bubbling.
all the way up to the edge of the hole. We lost him.
How you guys been doing? You catching any fish?
We
Got two so far.
Three.
Three? Yeah.
Keep-
Okay.
Keepers or?
No,
All 18 inches.
18, too small.
We stay here long enough. We're gonna get a chance to meet that group from Fred Trost, Michigan Outdoors.
So how you staying warm?
I tell you, it's been tough. We got about 5 layers on. One layer here, one there, in thermal wear.
But you might ask, is that enough clothing when the temperature is below zero? Check out the kids on the ice slide at Tip-Up Town. See, they come down that slide. Well, normally they do. Must be too cold for any of them to move. Parents had to remember what their kids were wearing at this Tip-Up Town. There was no way to see who was who. In fact, we all recognized each other by our clothes. But the carnival events went on, and those who participated had a good time. Cars parked on the 12 inches of ice, and snowmobilers enjoyed the snow that fell just 24 hours before Tip-Up Town began. The name Tip-Up Town comes from the ice fishing tip-ups used on Houghton Lake. When the flag is tipped up, that means a fish is either on your hook or it took your bait.
Don't fool it till he runs. Don't even touch it till he stops and makes his second run. He's still going.
Is it going?
Yeah, he's going.
Let's see.
That's what they do. They'll catch it by the tail, they'll run a little bit, and they'll spit it out, and they'll take it in head first. After they take it a second time and start running, that's when you want to set your hook.
I think we got him.
Well, you're a lot more patient than I am, you know that?
Okay, now you can bring it up high. Give him some slack, too, when you bring him up high. Okay. Oh, you got him.
Don't lose this one, boy.
Don't lose this one. You feel a little resistance, set it. Bring him in. Got a baby! Put it back, quick. Okay, yeah, put it back in there.
Just who is that masked man? Well, that's Corey Seidel, of course, taking the undersized pike off the hook. When anglers wear face masks like this, you know it's cold. This was the last Saturday afternoon, first Saturday of Tip-Up Town, weather that can bring tears to your eyes. That's why Doug Nelson leaves his snowmobile helmet on.
What the heck? That's some action anyway, isn't it?
There we go.
Okay.
All right, here. Go back, get bigger.
Bring your papa.
And your mama.
All right.
Got one.
Good
That's how
job.
it's done.
John Ford and our camera drew a crowd and some good luck.
What's this about the camera bringing bad luck anyway?
You brought good luck. There's 2 fish in a row we caught so far.
For those who didn't mind risking frozen hands to rig their baits, small pike were hitting on the tip-ups. If you wonder why I wasn't out there with John Ford and Abby Burke, it's the fact that you have to run to the tip-ups. Now, my leg isn't up to that yet, especially with 20-mile-an-hour winds and snow drifts interspersed with glaze ice. When you're in shape, this is fun, and it's a group activity. You have to watch your footing on a day like this, but everybody runs to check a tip-up. Most of the pike caught on this day, though, were undersized.
Here, hold it. Is it too small?
Yeah, it's just too small.
Oh, okay,
Hello.
all right, some action.
Look for another one.
Back it goes. The legal minimum for pike in Michigan is 20 inches. It's amazing with the horrid weather conditions above the ice that anything was happening underneath, and it's also amazing that anyone was trying to fish on a day like this. Now it's Sunday morning, the wind had calmed, and Dennis Hewitt and Craig Scoff were exploring for panfish. I hobbled around checking their success, but gotta tell you, it was minimal.
Let me check this though. This is actually hooked. Hooked in the mouth. That's incredible. Well, describe the battle story. When it first hit.
It was tough going, right down to the wire. But those little guys have a tendency to really strike at the bait real hard, so it's easy to detect their bite. It's just hard to get a hook set. But what I have is I have a Swedish pimple above, and this is an attractor. It also gets me down real quick. I call this a search pole because I can search a lot of water, cover a lot of water quick, looking for the biters. And then I can make a determination on what kind of tactic I want to use once we get the fish we're looking for. And obviously this is not the fish we're looking for.
Those tiny European hooks and teardrops with small red and white maggots as bait usually catch panfish for these guys when nobody else can, but not today.
Well, we're prepared for every occasion here. You can see a portable ice fishing shanty here, which we didn't set up. Got a minnow bucket with some minnows, a lantern for some heat. We're not going to stay out till after dark. Sleds, buckets, tip-ups, bobbers, all kinds of rigs. We even have a fish locator here, a graph, and none other than Craig Scoff, champion fish puller.
I don't know about that. Not
yeah,
today.
I mean, you can pull fish. Now, they might not always be magnificent and huge. Maybe we got some perch, but it was some action.
Yeah, it was some action. The depressing part was we had a Dana officer come by and he says he hasn't seen a gill on the lake yet today. So that doesn't exactly give you high hope for what's going on.
Now, when the CO says it's been dead,
It's been dead.
it's been dead.
It's been real dead.
Sure, the fishing was slow, but being out there was fun. As long as you're warm, you can enjoy a few hours on the ice. It's invigorating, and you really do feel good when you get back. When the conservation officer told us, though, that he hadn't seen a bluegill on the ice in 2 days, we knew the odds were against us. But just as fast as the fishing shuts down, it can start up again, and we know that Houghton Lake has some great pan fishing, and the small pike can usually be caught most any time. Just ask this youngster.
That's a legal-sized pike, just about, isn't it? Maybe a little close.
Yeah.
You guys been doing good?
This is the second tip-up we had go off. The other one got off, but
You happy with that?
Yeah.
You see, even when it's cold, a dad can bundle up his kids and have fun ice fishing. Dad rigs the baits, the kids pull in the fish. Aaron Ackstrom from Flint had a great weekend at Tip-Up Town. Oh, it was cold at Tip-Up Town, but even with the persistent pain from my broken leg, I'll tell you what, I enjoyed myself out on the ice. Now, it's been 3 months since I broke my leg playing ice hockey, but I am not wearing a cast anymore. I have a brace on that's held on by Velcro. I have to wear this maybe another month or so. And the way I get around, I don't have to use crutches anymore. I use a cane. Now, the cane I've been using, Carol Welsh got me. She works at Channel 23 in East Lansing. This was for my 45th birthday. She thought it was a joke, you know, a horn and a rear view mirror. But I tell you, this cane is what I use to get around. Everybody loves the horn too. I mean, you can imagine. Anyway, back on the subject of ice fishing, we're going to be fishing with Craig Scoff, who I know can catch panfish under adverse conditions. We had trouble at Tip-Up Town, but He uses tiny hooks, extremely light line, maggots for bait, nearly weightless bobbers or no bobbers at all. If the fish are biting, Craig can catch them. Just so happened this past weekend, the panfish were at a standstill. Never seen it like this at Houghton Lake. Ron Reed steered us to where they were catching big bluegills just a few days earlier, but that drastic weather change this past weekend shut panfishing down entirely. Imagine it's bounced back now, though. But there are alternative types of winter fishing in Michigan. Steelheading in the rivers, open water fishing. Oh, it's cold, and potentially more dangerous than ice fishing with those 34-degree currents, but the rewards are great. What do anglers use for bait for winter steelhead? Well, I did a computer analysis of the baits used to catch Moosehead Fishing Award qualifiers from 1984 through 1990. This tally is in the current Outdoor Digest. Spawn was the #1 bait. Half the trophy winter steelhead were taken on spawn. Flies were second, accounting for 20%. Body baits took 11%. Spoons 9%. Spinners and wigglers took 5% each. That's how the winter steelhead made it into our trophy book. John Barber from Midland is one of those winter steelheaders. He was fly fishing with a yarn fly on the Pere Marquette and landed this 35-inch, 13.5-pound steelhead. Isn't that a great photo? Dan Massey from East Jordan was casting off the pier at Charlevoix in January. This 35-inch steelhead liked his blue and silver Clio, and Dan was proud to get that trophy mounted. From Hemingway Lake in Montcalm County, Bill Ellsworth from Stanton sat in his shanty, spear in hand, red horse sucker working under the ice as a decoy. This 19.5-pound northern pike came in. That's 43 inches long. This 44-inch northern weighed a little over 23 pounds. Bill Sadler III from Ludington speared it in Hamlin Lake, Mason County. He was also using a live sucker as a decoy. Let's check out a few hunting awards. Bill Alpers from Traverse City bagged this 11-point buck with a 65-pound Browning compound up in Grand Traverse County a few days before rifle season. That buck had 10-inch tines. And look at this opening day trophy. Cheryl Scursani from Davison took it with her Remington 1100 at 8 a.m. November 15th, a 14-point with 11.5-inch tines. And here's a handgun trophy taken with a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson. Rick Segaley from Canton is mighty proud of this Missaukee County 12-point that had a 23-inch spread and an 11-inch tine. That buck dressed out at over 200 pounds. But if it's venison you're after, tackle an elk. Here's a 6x6. Outdoors Club member Charlie Switzer from Ashland, Ohio got it. Well, you can tell by the terrain. That's a mountainside, a mountain in Idaho. Michigan has a limited elk hunt each year. Joe Liberty from Dearborn Heights drew a permit. He got a beautiful 6x6 with a 40-inch spread. Dressed out this bull, it weighed 500 pounds on DNR scales. Charlie took it from Montmorency County, not with a regular rifle, but with a .54 caliber muzzleloader. So why did you pick a muzzleloader? One shot?
Well, I just thought it'd be a little more challenging, and I found it was. This was the second day. The first day was the stories, but the second day was relatively easy.
Huh.
Another hunter had clued us in on a CB that he had got one. There were 4 more in the area, so we had to drive to the other area and start stalking this one. And we got around behind it where it was going and waited for an opening, and I got it at about 100 yards.
No, that's a good shot with a muzzleloader. Quite an accomplishment. Only 2 hunters have taken trophy bulls with muzzleloaders in Michigan. Joe's one of them. Let's make Joe Liberty our Michigan Outdoors muzzleloading hunter of the week. If you've been reading our Outdoor Digest magazine, especially our SOS Alert Consumer Protection Supplement in here, you'll realize that I've been standing up for the old-time conservation principles when it comes to DNR policies. Well, a lot of the hardcore environmentalists try to put me on the other side of the fence and make people think that I don't care about the environment. That's not so. I was asked by what I consider a sort of a hardcore environmentalist legislator at one of Tom Alley's legislative committee meetings how I stand on the environment, and well, she put the question to me, and this is how I answered it.
Is it your testimony then that the environmental work that's done by the department does not benefit the fishers and hunters of the state?
Oh, no, it benefits immensely, and so does the highway department. Every time they work on roads up north, it benefits hunters and fishermen. So does Department of Labor and providing us better pay and so on and days off.
It benefits, and there's another illusion. I have never said that environment is not important or doesn't benefit. I'm just saying it should not be taken out of the hunting and fishing license money. That should go for management. That should go for counting deer. Sportsmen are willing to pay much more for their license fees. If we felt it was going for fish and game management, we'll pay a share for the environment if that's what we're told it's going for. What I object to is being told, this is fish and game money, here, let's have your money, and then taking it and saying you have full-time year-round conservation officer protection, when in fact, they're not on the job. So it benefits, like every law you pass benefits somebody. But I don't believe that education money should be used to fix up the highways. Why don't we do that? If we go by priorities, where sportsmen are losing in the DNR right now, is compared to the environment, we are low priority, and I totally agree with that. If I had to be on the DNR commission and you brought to me this job and you said, look at all this toxic waste, look at all of these problems we have in the environment, and the deer numbers might be off, I would right off the bat say, well, deer numbers, don't worry about that. That doesn't hurt anybody. Let's concentrate on the human health issues. That's how we will lose every time, as long as the DNR commission has it all to do. They're going to put the things on lower priority that have less damage, I guess should say, less public health concern. But I feel strongly that if we had a segregated commission that had its own budget, then we could talk for 2 days in a row on fish and game issues, and it wouldn't be out of whack or out of priority, because another commission would be taking care of the environment. It's just that we're put in an unfair position, and we have to be at the bottom of the totem pole. And when we're asked that question, do you mean that the environment doesn't matter? Of course it matters, but we shouldn't have to fund it.
Well, that's my environmental stance in a nutshell. You're going to be hearing more about that, because this is an important battle that sportsmen are going to have to fight to clarify this issue if we're going to get our money's worth from our DNR. Now, let's, speaking of scents, I'll tell you, there's a great scent coming from the kitchen right now.
We have a super appetizer recipe from Barbara Conklin called Zesty Pheasant Tartlets.
This is not just super, Kathy. You understated the case already. Look at those tartlets.
They are very, very, very good.
The cheese in there, and it's made with pheasant.
Right. There's a lot of steps to this, but they're very good and very well worth it. Going to take bread and actually flatten it out just as flat as you can get it, but with a rolling pin, and then dip it in butter, and then this is going to be your shell.
Well, you cut out the bread with some...
With a cookie cutter.
A cookie cutter?
Right, yep. And then you're going to have paprika, red hot sauce, Worcestershire sauce, my favorite word, onions, Swiss cheese, Parmesan cheese, and some Miracle Whip. And then you're going to just mix this up, and then, of course, your pheasant will go into this.
But you're whipping that up while those shells are in the oven.
Right. Now, you could freeze those little tartlet shells once they come out of the oven if you want to make a bunch of them and make them ahead. Mm-hmm. And then you're just going to go ahead and make your filling, and then this will go into the shells.
This filling, by the way, people should take note of this. This filling can probably be done with all kinds of meat, not just pheasant.
Oh, absolutely. Chicken, turkey.
Man, I'll tell you, this is one of the most incredible combinations of ingredients that have ever been mixed together on this earth.
I think so. Then you're just going to go ahead and mix this thoroughly, and then, like I say, your cooked pheasant or chicken or whatever you want to use.
But Barbara Conklin from Ohio, she's had many award-winning recipes with us, and her husband is a pheasant hunter.
Right. And then you're going to go ahead and fill these shells, and then it just pops back into the oven for about 10 minutes. Sprinkle a little bit of paprika on top just for color. And then that'll actually melt everything, the cheese and everything. Makes them very good.
Very good, Kath, is an understatement. I tell you, most people, if they haven't had these, can wait that 7 to 10 minutes while they're cooking. But we've had these before. Bob Garner has, and I tell you, it's more of an athletic event to see how many you can grab the quickest.
Absolutely beautiful. Why don't you tell them everything that goes into this?
Well, you were scarfing them all off of this plate.
That's right.
Crying out loud, I got to grab some here. We hardly have any. He's got them all.
And keep your mitts off them, too. I'll tell you, these little doodads right here are some powerfully good eating. They're small, and that's the only thing I have against them. I wish they were a lot bigger.
You know, seriously, I think they could be. You could put them on a whole English muffin or something, or I don't know
sure.
what.
You can make them any size you wanted to.
Man, I'd make big ones, too. But the juicy, cheese, stringy, oh, man. And you know, I bet I could almost imagine tuna being in here.
Oh, just about anything. Chicken, turkey.
Oh. Maybe even a rabbit, whatever.
What a versatile recipe.
Although we can imagine it. Don't change nothing. This is a fun. Hey, get your hands off of here.
I wouldn't have done that.
Next week on Michigan Outdoors, we're going to bring you a feature on shooting, the principles of missing. It's an article I wrote in the Outdoor Digest. I know more ways of missing than you can imagine. We're also going to try to fish with Craig Scoff and get some panfish. But if we get skunked, I'm not going to put you through it. But we'll have an interesting show, ice fishing, hopefully. That's next week right here on Public TV.
Your mama.